Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to Devlog to Finish. I just want to start off by saying F Cancer, RIP Total Biscuit died of 33, and also pray and support the Matrix. I'll put a video at the end. He has an announcement that's kind of dire. If you don't know who he is an independent developer that's been working on a game for about 3 to 4 years, has a following, and yes, health issues happened. All right, okay, let's just jump right in. So Devlog to Finish, what we're going to go through episode 4.5. I'm kind of calling this episode 4.5. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Number 1, I'll give you my game dev notes. 2, Blender like it's Inkscape again. And 3, we'll be talking about UV mapping, getting a UV map into Inkscape. So here we go. Elephant in the room. Yes, I am terrible. I'm a terrible Blender artist, developer, everything. I'm not the best. But because taking other people's advice like Tim Ruswick, I am putting my stuff out there and I get help. And so that's what you're going to see. If you like my stuff, hopefully you learn from a guy who makes mistakes and is going to get somewhere. It's going to be a beautiful game I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make a very professional looking game, so forth and so on. I did make a mistake about cubes. I was thinking about like paper toys where there are 8 boxes, but those other 2 sides are for gluing. That's not the case. A cube only has 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Oops a daisy. Note, these are from last video. I just want to go through, show you really quick all the stuff I've been using the most. These are the most important Blender shortcuts to start. And I'm going to add a couple, thanks to Jeremy360. He runs the Ren project for Godot 3, where he's trying to make a RenP version for Godot 3 so we can do like an RPG game with a great dialogue system. And that's what I'm kind of working is on the RPG part. And he talks about the big mistake, which is yes, author review. I didn't use it. I need to press number 5. So if you can see here, this is terrible. I couldn't make the rest of the Inkscape drawings in order to make the rest of the gun. So what I did is that after pressing number 5, I got the ortho views that I needed to make the rest of the gun. And why I used these was because I'm not the best at measuring or I don't know all the tools in Blender, but I do know Inkscape. I use that to then basically make the gun. I put it in a different perspective, similar to a character artist, because to me the guns are characters. And I used her methods, you know, definitely put like a keynote thing here, or whatever, a little card here so you can see her stuff. And yeah, there you go. I made the gun. I also learned this. You could use S, the shortcut S after you select like a face or something, to just shrink and resize and sculpt. That helped a lot. It made it a lot faster. I made the handle a lot better just by doing that, which is really cool. I then used Control R and I used to refine. So Control R, then S to refine. So I kept adding more vertices and then I just kept pressing S to make things smaller and better. And then interesting enough, it was like origami at some point. I was teaching how to make a origami paper airplane. I'll put a link there if you want to know how to make a cool airplane. Student for a class. And interesting enough, in order to get this, the bevel tool wasn't working. So I made a bunch of different vertices. And at the end of the day, I selected the middle plane after I made those extra vertices and pulled it up. But what was interesting is that it did take a couple more folds. I would have used the bevel modifier, but unfortunately the bevel modifier just was not doing exactly what I wanted. The other thing too is that I eyeballed this a lot. Which is another bad thing. Again, please put in the comments below how to use 2 measuring tools. But basically, I know I could use the shear. Shear could have been another option. And then the mirror modifier to make sure that both these sides were correct. But I felt that this was gridded enough, and I eyeballed it as best as I could with the references I had. This is a great video. Again, I will definitely put this in the cards, if not at the end. Just definitely in the cards. This is about how to join objects in Blender. And he goes over 2 methods, Control plus J and Boolean union, which is a modifier. I would just go Boolean modifier, just use that. Unfortunately, because I didn't do that, I did have a bunch of train wrecks. That's why this is the 10th. I lost count, but I think this is the 10th time I've done this video. The add modifier, this is straight from the video, you can watch it. You add modifier Boolean and then select union and pick the object. Right, CVid. So you want to be careful which object you pick first. And then so at this point I'm going to join everything together and prepare for a cartoon texture for the gun and user experience. Again, to me, user experience is more than just, you know, the menus at this point. It's like overall, how is everything going to look? That's the idea. And if you can't tell, is that this is the best way that I've learned, is that I actually make a smaller video. I render it in some pretty good image editing software, And then by doing so, I then can just talk over what I'm doing right here. At this point, because it's just easier, this is why I can't Twitch. Another pink elephant. I'm not a good Twitcher. Yeah, as you can tell here, I am actually just changing the handle, making it a little better since this is like the 10th time I was doing it. Again, this is the S trick. So once I select a certain amount of sizes, oh no, this is Control G, sorry. This is me pressing Control G and moving things into place, so forth and so on. I just want a little bit more space on the handle. Again, it looks close enough. I've been really into, like, I know I'm really into a lot of sci-fi cartoon shows, so I've just been watching Final Space, all the making ofs, really cool. Another thing too is that you can see here the materials I have are actually like a certain color, and that helps me when I actually, you know, use the modifier and select, because by the time I've actually selected one of the actual objects and converted it, it will change color. And then after I've selected and I've used the Boolean modifier and union option, then I double check to see if there's two copies. There should be two copies. So the mistake I made last time was I accidentally had two meshes overlap each other, and it messed up my UV map when I took it to Inkscape. Oh, at this point, just looking at other reference and other sci-fi guns, like tons of other sci-fi guns out there, there are just every type of sci-fi gun. I noticed that I needed more like a battery space or a power pack, so I put that right there. And the other thing too is that this gun is it's a default gun, so this weapon itself will regenerate its own bullets. So I had to think about, okay, so I don't need like a removable cartridge like I would have in other weapons. And this weapon also too will be upgradable, and you could add additional ammo, so forth and so on. And ideally this gun will turn into a rifle. That's why if it seems a little bit incomplete, that's kind of by design. I hope that it comes across as a little incomplete. Whereas as you add more stuff to it, it starts looking like a really cool rifle, so forth and so on. Again, thinking about gun ergonomics, the way I do this is I really picture in my mind how the characters are going to grip the gun. And so for what I want to do is I am going to do some concept art for this, where I'm actually going to have like draw out a character holding this weapon in a really cool pose. I hope this comes across so that I can get more of a sense for the art style and what the characters looks like. And I think, again, that to me is important because trying to have a clear vision on what this is going to be for user experience, so forth and so on. And I might turn that into channel art for the YouTube if that's a thing. As you can tell, just like, again, making it for a nice round cartoony figure. That's the goal. The other thing too is why I'm also doing these devlogs is kind of like, you know, proof that I'm actually working on a game. A lot of people like say like, you know, oh, hey, you just bought that, or that's just an asset or whatever. No, I want to be like a sleeper hit, I hope. Like when this game gets hopefully positive attention, you know, people will see all the stuff I've done over the years. This will probably take 2 to 3 years just to finish a small 30-minute demo. Oh, not a demo, I should say a full 30-minute experience. I'm planning just to make it like a very good level and just put that out there. And if people like it, then I'll make more. But if not, yeah, it was a good 2 to 3 year run. Hopefully if you work as a portfolio piece, then I can join a team or something like that. I mean, I have so much time in my life. If not, hopefully my daughter, by the time this thing does, will probably be 5 or something. Oh boy. Again, just playing with the trigger again. This trigger is more like a touch trigger, a pressure sensitive trigger. These weren't very popular, but there were, I think, some toys that did this for a while. So like what it is the trigger doesn't move, but it actually senses how much pressure. So again, it kind of moves. It's like a pressure sensitive trigger. The amount of pressure that when you squeeze it, this is lore for the game, will actually fire a weapon. How many of these pressure sensitive triggers will I do? I think I'll make it a standard with all the guns, and also kind of taking from other sci-fi series or whatever. There will be different companies and corporations. There will be histories. Even some companies will go bankrupt, like Toys R Us just went bankrupt. And the thing is that the companies that go bankrupt, they will still have abandoned technology. Some of the technology would be lost technology. Sometimes it'll be just technology that's been forgotten. Not like lost, but just no one uses it. And then the player character figures a way to use it to solve puzzles, so forth and so on. That's the idea. Okay, and again, just doing the same thing. I am using the modifier. Once I use the modifier, I am deleting the extra not needed mesh, just to make one unified mesh. And this has been it. This is me, you know, doing this for, gosh, I don't know. This has been my weekend short of being a dad and avoiding the schoolwork, the online work program stuff I'm going to have to suffer through tonight. Great 4 hours right there. Can't wait. Maybe 5, maybe 6. I don't know. I worked on it a little bit, writing essays about stuff. Okay. All right. Cool. So now that we did that, the other thing too is if you note, there's different timestamps on these slides. I went with the slideshow thing because it just made a lot more sense to me. After, let's see, back. So after that point, what I did is I went to export. I made a UV. So that's an Inkscape. Oh my gosh, what is this? Okay, ignore those two. All right, okay, so what I did is that I made sure everything was the same. I was transparent, and this is me making like a test render. And what I do with this test render right here, this is now in Kitra, is that this is where I could compile, well, it's a ping file, so I can either make like a really cool character art or concept art in Inkscape, which I'll probably use as like a finisher, or I could, do this and I could add drawings, so forth and so to it. But I really do want to texture it first, so that's the big thing. I do want to texture it first. So I looked at this tutorial on texturing. It's really cool. He talks more about a mirrored figure, and he also uses like robotic speech, which again, check the cards if you want to see this. After I do that, here we go. Here are the notes. All right. So the thing you want to do is you want to go to UV. Oh, there you go. You want to go to the mesh, and after you go to mesh, you want to go to UV unwrap. You want to go to Smart UV project. That's a big thing. I have this at 66. Oh, this is a big part. Make sure you have correct aspect clicked. That's all you want. Don't hit stretch to UV, or you get some really weird results. I don't know what that is. The default I used for Blender looks like it's 66, so just FYI on the angle or angle limit. And then press A. This is another thing I forgot to do. Make sure you press A to select all the surfaces before you make a UV map. All right, and then I did Smart UV. Great. I really should have edited this. And then after you've done all that, you've made your Smart UV, you want to click the UV image editor. Once you do that, you have this. You actually have the faces of the UV. And so this is gonna be a little hard. Like again, I used a lot of Days 3D, and I never made my own characters, but because of just messing around for fun for, I guess, since 2005 or something, I'd make like Days comics or poser comics. I'm kind of familiar with this technique. I just have to identify each side, and then I can use that in Inkscape. I want to export. Make sure you don't hit image. Oh gosh, don't hit image. Hit the UV part and export to UV. That's what's really important. Don't do the image thing. Again, this is why I'm doing this video 10th time. After that, you just want to hit that export to UV layout, make it a ping where you can find it. I like to call them character maps because I'm treating the guns like characters. And bada bing, bada boom, now it's in Inkscape, and now it's ready to make a cartoon map. That's where we're at right now. I am going to be working on Ruben's Anime Girls Meets Bully video for next week, and hopefully the other video should be up right here. Again, I am Zon the Daddy Dev, aka Title Pending. Gotta do something with that because people just like that. And insert catchy phrase here. If you like this, like and subscribe. I will be doing a much better video about how to put the UV map from Inkscape and put it into Blender. So hopefully looking forward to that. And those people that actually like my subscribers, thanks guys. Ruben's Anime Girl Meets Bully will be also next weekend. That's the game plan unless something happens. Hopefully nothing as bad as what's happened to some other people lately in the news. Bye, cheers, love, peace, and chicken grease.